Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The show's about to begin.
Wow,
Mark.
that was sexy. That sounds like the start of the best ever cinema. Like,
This is the best ever show.
come on.
Mark,
Hi.
let's put on a show.
Let's do it.
Welcome to another episode of Golden Nuggets with Silvia Eldawi. And today I've got a guest, a special guest who, since I've been doing these shows, there's three names that I keep getting asked. Like, how comes you haven't got this one on your show? Or when is so-and-so appearing on the show? And my next guest is one of those names. And it turns out you're also getting like people
All the time.
Asking you.
Yeah, why haven't you done it?
Yeah.
And I was like, she doesn't want me on.
That's
She's
not
never
true.
messaged me.
I did message you.
No, you never.
I'll
And,
go through the receipts. I'm going through the receipts. I can remember the date clearly. November, no, I'm kidding. But he's on now, so we are going to get some Castley isms.
Let's go.
Today.
I love that.
Now, Mark is known for educating real estate. So this we're going to get tons of golden nuggets from you today. Yep. This is going to be like a medley of golden nuggets. You're passionate about educating real estate. You have a long career you've been around for 22 years in the industry. You're the ex-CEO of Luxury Property. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Amazon bestseller.
Come on.
Yes.
It sounds sexy, that, doesn't it? Say it again.
And not just Dubai, not just like in your postcode.
Worldwide. And you know what? I didn't even buy that many of them myself.
Actually, that's not bad. And the book is called How to Actually Be a Real Estate Agent. So we're going to delve into that as well. And some of the chapters in that. And you... founder of DXB Success, so it's like a kind of road show of training events. But we want to, and host of Podcastley. Of Podcastley. So I've got a fellow podcast host, and that's a perfect name. Who came up with that?
Honestly, right? Me. And I don't have many good ideas. My wife is the brains of the relationship. That was like a genius moment.
That was a genius moment.
Obviously, Podcastly.
Makes sense. So I want to just get your intro from you. Let's talk about how you got to this day here and what's happened recently. How much can you spill, NDA permitting, if there is one, spill the tea?
I love spilling the tea.
All right. How much can you
Well, hi. Thank you so much for having me.
That intro was all over the place.
It was amazing. So I'm Mark. First of all, thank you so much for having me on. It has been a long time coming.
Yes.
And I'm a massive, massive fan of the show.
Aww.
I've watched all of them.
Have you really?
I really have.
Okay.
And I've just been telling you, I put a podcast on, go around the mall and I listen. Because I think it's really important to hear what the market's saying. And that's what you talk about, right? There's what everybody says on social media, which
that's
is a
one
lot of
thing.
Yeah, which is not true.
And there's one thing that everyone says on their podcasts for their agenda or whatever.
Exactly. And then you're getting the actual scoop, which is good. Like the finger on the pulse, like that's what this is. So I've enjoyed them all. And I'm really happy to be here. So
yay.
I am now officially, as of yesterday,
Drum roll.
Huspy.
There you go. You're at Huspy now.
Yep.
Because this is why he's not wearing a
That's why I'm going to shirt and tie.
He's a tech company now.
A tech company. You know, the thing is, when a lot of people reached out to go and do something with them, join the company or go and be the CEO there, the reason I said yes to Huspy is really simple. I've never, ever seen a company like it.
Yeah.
I promise you, like there's something different there.
Yeah.
There's a vibe. Like there's people trying to do what Huspy do and they can't. So when you look at it and from the outside looking in, nobody knows until you go inside and you go in.
I've been spending a lot of time there recently. Yeah.
And you go in and
it's a vibe.
It's a vibe, right? And there's a lot of good stuff going on. And for me, it was a no-brainer. Like it was an absolute no-brainer. I'm expecting to build something incredible. Like that's all I care about is everyone around me makes life-changing money, and loads of people are in that position. Like over the next 12 months, I'm gonna make some serious moves,
Right.
and the goal is, and I can't stress this enough, everyone around me just makes a load of cash. If you were to interview, and I hope you do at some point, everybody that's ever worked for me and asked did their money go up or down after being with me, goes up. Management, agents, the lot. And I'm going to do the same there.
So that's your mission, your purpose.
Make loads of cash.
Yeah.
That's what we're here for, right?
Yeah.
People say money doesn't make you happy.
It
does.
I've seen a lot of miserable rich people. It's not the...
True story.
Yeah.
So my wife has a really good way of looking at it. It amplifies who you are. If you're in misery and you've got loads of cash, you'll be dead miserable.
Yeah.
If you're a nice guy with loads of cash, you'll be a nice guy with loads of people.
Yeah.
So it's exactly like that. I won't bore you with too much of the story, but when I exited LP, I didn't tell anyone. It was really like nobody knew, but somehow everybody knew.
And then you had to back it up with the LinkedIn post.
Yeah, well, the LinkedIn
Thank
post.
you for everything.
Do you know the LinkedIn post, right? And I say this, it was one of them like, I cry a lot. I don't know, like when you have a kid, you just turn into a big pile of mush. And like, I'll cry at everything on the TV. Yeah. But there's two things that really make me cry. One of them is a birthday card I've got from everybody in LP, which was the first time I had a birthday there. And the stuff people write in it, it was totally going off track here, but just so you understand.
We're fine
we're okay to go off track.
Any direction.
Just the nice things people write that you don't realise happen, like the things you've done for people that you didn't realise you've done, which is nice.
Which is usually it's just like happy birthday, Mark.
Yeah. I'm going to send you it because it's in the house. It's just lovely, to be honest. Nice things people say, and then a lot of the industry's top performers.
What's the other thing that makes you cry?
That's what I'm going to tell you now. LinkedIn post. So on the LinkedIn post, a lot of the industry's top performers were in there because a lot of them weren't top performers. And it's definitely not down to me, but they've come through me at some point and have said thank you, or, you've helped, or whatever it might be. Just
life
a nice
changer.
Yeah. That's like, that's, if I'm being a big softie, I'm a 6'4" baldy scouser who cries all the time.
Basically. But that's the thing. It's like, it's very rare for someone to invest and educate and like support agents who are not their own. And that's what you're basically doing.
The most common message I get is, why are you doing this?
Yeah, why are you doing this?
It's a good, and I don't have an answer. I said this on stage, and I tell people when they message, like I won't say no to helping someone. But I get there's a lot of the city's directors, C-suites will reach out because they know I'll help. Sometimes it's like the reason people ask me for help is because they know I will.
Yeah.
And it's probably because they don't have that access to help where they are. If you think about the growth model of a real estate company, there's a couple of different reasons a real estate company gets set up. One of them is a really successful real estate agent decides to set up a company.
Yeah.
Not typically the best idea.
Not necessarily makes the best CEO either. Yeah.
Normally the worst. Now, if they resource the best talent and they leverage their name, amazing. Yeah. Like that's a good model. Another one is somebody's got a load of cash and goes, I think I should set up a real estate company. Yeah. Again, if you bring the right people in, great. If you don't, horrendous. Or a large portfolio owner sometimes says it's a good time.
Might as well just, instead of paying all these fees,
Yeah, and then there's can I mention other brands? I don't know if I can. Yeah. There's other brands in the city that, you look at.
If we're going to talk shit about them, I'll delete it.
No shit.
But
we'll delete them bits. If you take a look at, for example, House and House, right? What a brand.
Yeah.
Like the lads set that up. I don't know how many. I apologize if you're watching. I don't know the exact date you set it up. But what a brand, right? They set that up, to my knowledge. I think there's 3 of them came together and were like, right, we're going to set up a company and we're going to get it right. You will struggle to find dirt on them.
Yeah.
Now, not that I do try and find dirt on people, but you know, right? You know who's good in the market and stuff. And you look at that brand and you're like, you're solid. That's why they're massive.
But do you know what also, I mean, I've had some kind of interactions with the House and House guys. They're very polished.
Yeah, it's just a great brand, right?
They're the most corporate of brokerages here.
I just love everything they do. I look at the brand, I look at the people, I look at the office, I look at, just everything they do makes a load of sense. And I look at how they approach recruitment. It makes loads of sense to me. And they were to my understanding, 3 brokers who came together and decided to get it right, and they did.
And
And there's other companies like that in the market. But there's different ways you can set up a company. And for me, not all of the time in Dubai is it done the way that it could be. You know, it's not always, it's the right intentions, maybe the wrong execution. And for me, execution on a successful real estate company should be on, if you're a great agent, can you teach those around you how to be great?
Yeah.
And if you can, do it. If you can't, it's probably not best suited to open a big, massive company.
Yeah. Well, was that your long game? You're building a tribe, and you must get a lot of people coming to you and saying, "I want to work for you. I've learned so much from you. I work for someone else. Can I come and work for you?" Is that part of the tactic?
Well, so, you know, selfishly, it was about 2.5 years ago I started posting these things on Instagram.
Yeah, you just whip out the phone and go
Just
live.
That's me going, right? So, and can you imagine the crap I got from all the boys back home? It's like, Mark, you're cringy, you're horrendous. Get that big baldy head off Instagram. Non-stop, right? Yeah. And I was like, I don't really care because I've got a lot to say and it's not, I feel like there's a bit of value there. So I ignored them all and started getting good feedback. You know, that little bit of like, this one got a bit of value from it.
Yeah.
And it just grew from there. You know, I was just in the car every day doing some education or something that I thought
getting driven, by the way. He wasn't.
It was, yeah. And you know, the number one reply was, "Where's your seatbelt?"
Yeah. Oh gosh, I never wear my seatbelt.
I know, in the back.
It's, really
like
bad.
we're on a boat. And then I thought, what if I crash? So that was genuinely one of the number one replies. But then I was doing these videos, and it was just like people. There was no call to action. It
was just here's the golden nuggets.
Yeah, exactly. Do what you will with it. Now, when I worked in the US, and we can go through this, but when I worked in the US, there was a guy, his name's Craig Proctor. At the time when I was there, which was 10 years ago, he was maybe longer actually, he was the number one Remax agent ever to have lived. Like, he first to do like the billion in sales volume. All his accolades I'll have got wrong there, but they were good. His approach to marketing was amazing. And he was like, what if there's no call to action, but there's just so much value that people find it unreasonable to not reply?
Yeah.
I was like, I just love that. And then you see people now, like Homos and all these people start saying similar
just
things.
Same value,
yeah. It's value. Gary V's that one, was he jab, or whatever his thing is, which works, right? So for me, there's never been a call to action. I've never once said, do you want to come and work for me?
Yeah.
But at LP, I probably had about 70% of the floor was aware of what I was doing, and that's how the initial conversations came through, which was great.
It does work.
It definitely works. And, you know, the underlying tone is always, do you want to come and work for me? Without saying it, right? I might as well work for him. But that wasn't the goal. Initially, it was just, I think I can add a bit of value.
And you did it charitably.
Yeah.
And then when did the book come?
We travel a lot, right? When we travel, my idea of relaxing is knowing the girls are happy.
That's your wife and daughter.
Yeah, our wife, daughter, mother-in-law. We travel as a 4, and me being in the lounge with a laptop, trying to take over the world. Right. That's like the most relaxed that could be, is figuring out how to conquer the planet. Right, but so I burn too easily, so I'm no good in the sun, and I don't want to be in the sun. So during the day, they have the best time ever without me, and I'm having the best time ever by myself. Yeah, exactly that, right? So I was in Thailand, and I was like, I forget how it came about. I'll tell you what it was. I did a message on Instagram, obviously, saying, do you want to... what was it? It was like a free download or something of like
ebook or something. Yeah.
I had like 7 ebook. That was it. 700 people in about 40 minutes signed up for this free thing, and I was like, oh, crap,
it's wanted. Yeah.
That's a lot of stuff. Wonder what I can put in a book. So I started writing the chapters down, and I was like, wow, I could probably do a book here. It took me just over a year to get it right. Wow. And I'll read it now, and I don't like it. But I get a lot of feedback on it. A lot of people say, I'm reading it. What about this or what about that? And there's a couple of key parts of the book that are really useful. But I do read it now and constantly just criticizing yourself. Yeah. I'll probably do that better now.
We'll need an edition 2 or something.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
But the role is the same everywhere in the world.
Yeah, it is, you know.
And it doesn't really change. the tools change, but it's the same.
I love that you just said that. You know why?
Why?
I was thinking, and this was something I'll do a post on it tomorrow. This was one of the videos, because I never know what I'm going to say. I'll pick the camera up and be like, wonder what you're going to say now. And I honestly, but and sometimes I write them down, what I want to say. And here's the thing, right? In Dubai specifically, the tools are the same. And the process is the same. It's the execution that's different.
That's it. Yeah.
Because you can get a room now of 5 different people all doing a Palm Jumeirah. And they will get 5 different results following the same process depending on their execution. But what people blame is the process.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's always the process. What they'll say is, I know what I'm going to do. I'm not going to call anyone. I'm going to go to a networking event. It's like when recruiters try and recruit top agents on LinkedIn. Nobody is on LinkedIn in the day looking for a job if they're selling loads of houses. It's such a failed model. It's unbelievable, right? So, but it's not the process, it's the execution. So if you execute on the process the exact same way as a top performer, you'll get the same results. If you can't execute the same way, it's not the process's fault, it's how you execute on it.
It's
exactly right. And that's hard when you've got an ego, right? Because all real estate agents have an ego.
Well, true. That's one requirement. And that's why, like, even me doing this show, it came out of, oh my God, like, who's teaching them? Where are they learning from? Because what I noticed, specific to here, because I don't think this happens in the UK, or, in the US, they do work as teams, as brokerage teams. So you've got someone to learn from. Here, everyone's like a lone wolf. So, you get an input. How I learned was there was always like a really good agent around me that I could overhear their conversations. I can see them pitch. I tag along to their viewings, and I'm no threat. But here is the minute an agent or a top agent first of all, the top agents aren't in the office. Let's start there. They're not coming into the office. Second of all, if you do get an agent in the office, it's half decent. They're making a call. They'll go into one of those booths. So I was like, where is everyone learning from?
They're not. Honestly,
so we're just running around learning from experience. So I thought, let's just put on this show, bring that experience.
I love it.
And if you take something away, great. If you don't, it's just like an hour of entertainment. But I'm very conscious, and one thing that I do say to a lot of guests, let's not talk about Dubai too much, because actually this is not a Dubai show.
No.
This is a real estate show. And people listen in the UK, and it equally applies. But having said that, going back to your friends and your that taking the piss out of you, saying cringe. What I've noticed about the UK versus UAE, here they've got the confidence to do it as real estate agent, social media. There, it's
very cringy, especially from like my neck of the woods. The way I talk is just like people like me don't say stuff online.
And I think like we've got to credit Scouse Baby. That reel. Did you see that reel?
Oh yeah,
little baby,
unbelievable. The most Scouse baby you've ever seen in your life.
I probably played that about 20 times.
It's so funny, isn't it?
But I think that finally put the Scouse accent on. That's what it is.
That's what that
obviously,
is.
from the UK, you know the Scouse accent. But
then you look at, it's funny because obviously Gary does really well. Gary's way more Scouse than me.
No, right? I'd say same.
I'm going to say...
I was on a panel with him last week.
And I've seen that. Gary, if you're watching me, you are way more Scouse than me.
But there's levels to the Scouseness,
but he's brilliant, right? Like what they've done over there is just what a company they've built. His heart and soul's gone into it. And he's so true to himself. So the rest of them, Gino, the rest of the boys, they're just like, what a company they've built over there. And that's another example of what House did. But Gary's accent is I can guarantee you he'll have got stick from back home when he was on socials every day.
But the thing is, you for some reason, Scouse can't tone it down.
This is toned down. I tell you a funny story. When I lived in the US, right, it's so funny. I'd do 4 different recruitment, what do you call seminars. So I'd have about 100, 150 people in a room, and they get 4 hours of education from me. And during that it's 3 hours, 40 minutes of education, and then a 20-minute recruitment pitch at the end to join the brokerage. And I used to do 4 a week. So I'd do Orlando, Fort Lauderdale, Miami and then over to Tampa. It was brilliant. For the first 10 sessions,
we can't understand a word he's saying.
Exactly that. They'd be looking at me like this.
What language are you speaking?
What did you just say? And I was like, well, you've been here for 4 hours, so hopefully you got something. And I had to slow it down and really enunciate. And so I feel like I've really got this right now, but clearly not.
So it's you and Gary holding it down for the Scousers in the Middle East. Yeah. All right, so the book, go back to the book, it's called How to Actually Be a Real Estate Agent, which suggests there's multiple ways of being a real estate agent.
Love that.
Why is it called that? Why? What did you identify?
So for me, it's very easy to be a real estate agent. The logic of the name was everybody will watch Selling Sunset or Own in Manhattan or what's the other one called? Buying Beverly Hills.
Yeah. Buying London now.
All that is not how real estate's done.
Yeah.
It's just not. It's great TV.
Great entertainment.
Jamie is addicted to Selling Sunset. I can't watch it because I get really frustrated that people are trying to negotiate a deal and they're not that's not how it went down.
Yeah.
So don't I know the TV is fake anyway, but don't lie to all of the people that want to come to Dubai now and think that that's how real estate's done.
It's not.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's just not.
Well, that's what I noticed about what was the Netflix, was it $1 Million Listing?
Yeah.
It made it seem like Abu Dhabi and Dubai was we just go up the road to Abu Dhabi and we sell here, we sell there. That's how it made it seem. But
it's wild. And don't get me wrong, great for personal brand.
Yeah.
I love it. And if you can leverage to make cash in real estate, I love that. Go and list a load of houses from it. I love it.
Yeah.
But don't tell people that's how it's done because it's not. You've got people negotiating a deal on call one on speakerphone and it's he's only going to offer 3 million less. Shut up. Shut up.
Yeah.
That's not how it's done.
Yeah.
So it's for me, the actually how to actually be a real estate agent is, well, this is how you actually do it. These are the bits that you need to focus on. The truth is, and this is what pisses the most amount of people off, I've said this many times, real estate's so simple because you just have to find somebody who wants to sell a house at a price that somebody's willing to pay for it. And then you have to find the person who likes the house, can afford the house and is willing to pay that amount for it. I just do that. Do that a couple of times a week and you'll sell a load of houses.
Yeah. It's quite simple, really. Yeah.
Honestly, right? And it sounds like I'm being crazy, but that's the bit that you do. And if you want to do socials, I think, I don't know, maybe I'm being boisterous here, but my profile is one of the most viewed, not the most, but it gets a lot of action in the Middle East. And I get a couple of buyers and a couple of sellers, not enough to feed me and my family though, never mind a brokerage. So social media is one of the things to have, but
it's
not
the
the
only
thing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's just not. And people are like, I know, I'm going to do a property tour. I get it.
Yeah.
I love them, but you don't make money from them. It's personal brand. It's not income.
Yeah.
I love a good property tour. I love watching them. But how many houses do you sell a week off a property tour? A few maybe, but not enough. And the time taken to go and do a property tour,
so much,
it's like a ball ache, right? So I just think it's great for brand. I don't know if it's great for income. It's good for a leverage point, but not for direct revenue in the bank. And people join real estate and say, I know what I'm going to do. I know you've told me to do all this stuff, but I'm going to do this stuff over here that
because it looks like it's working
great. Yeah, it looks great. This. So.
And the other thing is, we spoke about this just before we started shooting, was dress code. Yeah. Because you're now, you're working for a tech
basically
company.
Just a tech billionaire. No, that's just what I am.
You are Mark Zuckerberg.
That's
Castley.
Yeah.
And you ditched the suit and tie. You've got the real estate agent starter kit, Laura Pianas.
This is the first time I've ever been. I hope you don't even zoom in on these ankles, but this is the most naked I've ever been. Because the thing, all I've ever known is white shirt and tie.
Right.
That's it. Because if you think, when I started in Dubai, which is 15 years ago, the company I started for was, the guy who owned it was ex-De Vere. And De Vere was just white shirt and tie. So he was right, everybody's white shirt and tie. and it used to be Sunday to Thursday was the working week. Ladies' night was a Tuesday, so we'd make us all come in early on a Tuesday. Early on a Wednesday.
Okay. Why?
So because we wouldn't go out on a Tuesday night then.
Oh my God.
Right,
Okay.
so there's that's what we were used to. It was more of like this is how you do real estate. Like you all look the part and this. But now, if you go through the top 20 real estate agents in Dubai, they haven't all got shirts and ties on.
No.
Now I do like it. I'm a big fan of not looking like a scruff, because sometimes people's imagination runs away with them.
Yeah, that's true.
And they turn up looking like Dame Edna or somebody. And if you don't know who Dame Edna is, Google her.
Well, maybe we'll make her pop up
Can
here.
you pop her up somewhere?
We'll pop her up here. Dame Edna.
There she is. But you know what I mean?
God rest her soul.
Oh, is she dead?
I think so.
She probably will be now. I know you said that. You've just cursed her.
I've just killed her.
But you know what I mean? People are like, they've got this flamboyant approach, and it's like there's a bit of like courtesy to not look like that.
Yeah.
If you're turning up and you're trying to get someone to spend $10 million on a property, whether you've got a tie on or not is not going to change.
It's
whether
not gonna
that
make a difference.
no.
Yeah.
But if you look like a lunatic and you're driving a car that doesn't look like you sell these houses that often, you might not be entrusted with that sale. So there's a bit of courtesy to look the part. My most hated phrase on the planet is fake it till you make it. It's a really common phrase where people are like, I know what I'll do. I'll go to Karama. I'll get myself a new Rolex or a Patek. They're only £50,000, and then they pull up in a Yaris, and it's like, don't. Just be really true to yourself. There's something I talk about a lot. So I've mentioned it before, but for the listeners to this, question for you. I know you're meant to be asking me them, but
Oh, go ahead. Go on. Podcastly.
I know this is like, well, we can just cut and like now put my intro in. The most well-received emotion, do you know what it is?
The most well-received
This is
emotion?
an MIT study on a human. What's the most receptive emotion a human can receive?
Absorb.
Yeah, absorbs the word.
Like humor, laughter.
Humor, laughter, love, hate.
Okay. Probably easiest to hate, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like that saying, it takes 5 muscles to...
Just one to frown and one to smile.
Like that.
Do you know what it is?
No.
Authenticity.
Okay.
Authenticity is the most well-received emotion a human can absorb, is the word.
I love that.
8 times more receptive than love. Now, if you're going out being true to yourself and being authentic, you probably win. When you speak about people, how many times have you said genuine guy? Because it resonates, doesn't it? Like he or she is really genuine. Why? Because that one hits. Fucking, that's real. That. So if you've got a fake watch on and all the other stuff, it's a tough gig to be true to yourself and just
absolutely.
You know what I mean?
And like for me, I think like this, my entire career, I've been working for someone or working essentially. Even when I had the startup, the Keeper, we're still kind of responsible to investors. So it's not your own thing. So you can't be who you really want to be because you're reporting to a boss, or I've always reported to a boss or an investor.
Yeah.
And until now, this is exactly who I am. And people knew me, but I wouldn't put that out there. But this is the most refreshing my life has ever been, because I'm just literally doing and saying what I want to say, hopefully trying to stay out of trouble. But people are, you're right, people are more receptive to...
Honestly, they do. When I put stuff out, I have a couple of different tones that when I'm putting messages out, there's certain ways that I'll talk, which are better for each different point. Of a morning, it's very, I'm telling you something. Then sometimes when I'm in the office, it's with someone, which is a totally different type of tone. The best received tone I ever get is when I'm with Blair, my daughter. I must give off a totally different vibe when I'm with her, or the fact that family's on the video and stuff. But that's the number one engagement I get, is that tone that goes out. When I put something with B or Jamie in and then put education, that then spikes the education piece. Really, in how humans behave is just dead interesting.
And you clearly don't stop learning yourself.
No,
so
non-stop.
you're educating, but you're learning.
Yeah.
What do you use to keep developing yourself?
So the number one thing for me is I'm big on data. I like to understand why things happen and I love predicting what could happen. So when I took over LP, I had about 500 different KPI points that not all were useful.
You'd inherited?
No, I created.
Okay.
So not many people run KPIs, 4 or 5 years.
I used to obsess over KPIs, yeah.
You know why? Because it doesn't lie.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, agents do. Here's the thing. Maybe they don't lie, but they've just got a false sense of ability or performance. If I said to you now, how was your week?
Yeah.
Every agent goes, brilliant, it's all right. What have you done? I've done quite a lot. But what have you done? What did you do?
We used to call it busy fools.
Yeah, exactly. Have you been busy doing absolutely nothing? And that's okay. So, because if you've not told them otherwise, how can you expect them? So for me, I'm very preventative. I'm very much ideally predicting what could or should happen. And the phrase I used was make success inevitable. It would just be unreasonable to fail if you do all the stuff right.
What were your top 5 favourite KPIs?
Favourite figure is rev per agent. When I was at LP, we were firing above target in both sales and rent on average. Normally, the average agent performance across the team is below target. So it's we were above target. Outrageous performance. That's the number one, is when you're looking at it from a brokerage point of view. When you're looking at it from a performance point of view, leads per listing is really important to me.
Leads per listing, okay.
So on average, how many leads do you get for the stock you've got online? Really suitable way to predict success. If you've got no leads coming in and you've got loads of listings online, there's a problem.
Yeah, which means it's overpriced.
Yeah, typically.
Probably,
You've got overpriced stock. That's the typical one. That for me, and how many viewings do you go on per lead? How many offers? So leads, viewings, offers, deals are the most important things to track, and then all the conversion rates in between them.
I used to love the conversions. We're currently working at an average conversion of X,
Exactly.
Y, Z.
But you know why? Because you can move the needle really, really far
Just by
tweaking
tweaking
it.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you take a look at how many leads it takes you to do a deal, and this is great for brokerage owners now. This is the most unreasonable thing a brokerage owner does, is recruit, but doesn't have enough lead flow to support leads per deal. So if it takes me and you 30 leads each to do a deal, converting about 3%, and the brokerage doesn't give us 30 leads, it's not reasonable to expect us to transact.
Yeah, but I'm hiring you. I'm expecting you to bring on listings.
Correct.
And I'm expecting, off the back of your pricing, your marketing, the photos that you've taken, that listing is going to attract 30 leads.
Correct. So if I do my bit as an agent, it's so important that and there's the thing, you've got brokerage splits now from 50 up to, I think the highest one at the
90.
minute, 90 have you seen at the minute, right? So is the brokerage only doing 10% of value there? And if they are, that's okay, because that's what they're being paid for. What you find is a lot of brokerages do 10% of value and charge the agent 50. They're on a 50-50 model, but not given 50% worth of value. Biggest conversation point I had with management was, what are we doing for our team? I do care about the people at the top, but I actually don't. They look after themselves. If you think about the 4 elements of a real estate agent, then you've got to give them some education. They'll go and create an opportunity. Then you've got to support them, and they'll probably do a transaction. Them 4 bits are the most important bits to me. The top agents typically just need support. That's the bit they need. The most common trend of the top 10 people at the company is normally that they'll call and ask for help.
Yeah.
The most common trend of the bottom 10 is you never see them and they don't ask for any help, right? So if you think about from a brokerage point of view, if you're in a position where you're providing education, they're going out creating opportunities, you're then supporting them, you're entitled to your 50%.
Yeah.
But if you're not doing that bit, you shouldn't really be, you should be paid in line with what
the effort that you
yeah.
put. Yeah.
The value that you bring is. So, you know, if you, again, sorry to interrupt, but if you were paid in line with how hard you worked, nurses would be the highest paid people on the planet, right?
True. Yeah, true.
And so you're paid with how much value you bring. Now, nurses bring more value than anybody.
That's right.
But the point is, in real estate, if you're valuable to your clients, you'll get paid more than the hard worker next to you.
Yeah.
Because if you take real estate as an example, hardest workers in real estate are the admin by a mile.
Yeah.
They're the best, right? Hard job, not easy to do, and no real estate agent is good at admin.
Yeah.
Not one.
And ask them what their commute looks like as well, please.
Horrendous. Remember the great floods in April, and some of them were still commuting from wherever it was. And they're the real heroes of real estate.
Unsung heroes.
Honestly, though.
Shout out to all the admins,
what
the
a group.
conveyancers, the receptionists.
Conveyancers get a tough time.
Yeah.
They have, you know what they get, like, and property management, that's another tough one.
Oh, yeah, property. Well, that's my background, so...
Nobody calls to say thanks.
Right.
Thanks, everything was great this month.
It's like,
never
just
happened.
FYI, here's some flowers because you're looking after our property. No,
nothing broke this month. Just calling to say everything's okay.
Like,
it's never happened, right? No, it's look, everything's wrong. It's your fault.
Yeah.
Now you're getting
Fix
a
it
Google
now.
review.
Yeah.
Like, what's all that about? So, you know, if we were paid in line with how hard we work, the pay gap would be totally different.
Yeah.
We're actually paid with how much value we bring.
And so if I'm a real estate agent listening to this now, let's say I've been in my role for a year to 2 years, based on your KPI, you've got your KPIs, but you've also got your benchmark, right? You're aiming for this. So what would you say a real estate agent now, and we'll keep this local because we're here, Dubai, what of those top 3 KPIs that you like, what is a good number? What's the benchmark for rev per agent?
Yep.
What was the other one? Leads per listing.
Yeah.
Was there a third
Viewings to offers.
Viewings to offers.
Offers to deals.
What's a good number, benchmark?
On average, as a single agent, you've got to be average in target. It's a non-negotiable. You have to be average in target. From a brokerage point of view, it's slightly different.
But what's target? Like how much?
100 grand.
100 grand.
They don't mess about. Like, come on.
Yeah.
We're in Dubai, baby.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? Don't turn up to Dubai and be comfortable making 10 grand a month.
Yeah.
Just don't do it. Because there's people right now who have absolutely like turned up and just gone, I'll do whatever you say. Then they do, and they make loads of cash, and they've never done real estate before.
Millions.
Though, right? Life-changing cash. My number one at LP, she's no longer there. We still speak. She's amazing. Was a rental agent. Did, can't talk figures. She did all right. And then the next year did way better.
Way more all right. Yeah.
Way better than all right.
Still in rentals? Or?
No, in sales.
Okay,
Banged it. Like banged it. Number one in rent. The number one in rent did more than most sales agents in Dubai. Banged it. You know why? They just got it.
Yeah.
Like, what do I do? Honestly, to be on the phone non-stop, and it's not because I know more, it's because I'm not emotionally involved in the deal. What do you reckon to do? The best bit of advice ever is ask me what to do, don't tell me what you've done. Like, there's a phrase, you might have to beep this, but you can't unfuck a deal, right?
No, I can't beep it. It will lose its fragrance.
Okay, you can't unbeep a deal. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So a lot of times a real estate agent will turn up and go, just so you know, this is a mess. Can you fix it?
Yeah.
Better off saying, I'm about to go on a viewing. What do you reckon I say?
What should I do?
Yeah, what do I do? And that's the best. That's what we had, that culture, which was amazing. But in terms of rev per agent, you've got to target yourself at target, which is 100 grand.
Okay.
Like, you've got to. But like things you should be looking at, you've got to bring 5 bits of stock to market every month.
5 listings every month.
Form A.
Okay.
Non-negotiable.
Right. Exclusive, or it doesn't have to
I
be
hate exclusive.
Interesting.
Weird viewpoints on it. Everyone always argues with me on it. But like, the easiest unit to get exclusive is the overpriced one.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like, if it's well priced and it's exclusive, amazing. Like, I love that. But if it's not, then don't say you've got an exclusive unit that you can't sell.
Yeah. Because all that's going to happen is the end of your exclusivity period is going to go to someone who's realistically priced it, and they're going to sell it.
Yeah, it's a failed business model. So for me, if you bring 5 bits of stock to market every month, and you're averaging, 14 leads per listing, which is nice, right? That's a nice figure to go off. You're getting, what's that, 70 leads a month?
How many? 14 times
It's about
5.
70, yeah.
Okay. Right. So 70. So 100,000, 70 leads a month.
And if you should be converting at about 5%.
5%.
About 3.5 deals a month.
Okay.
If you're in that space,
you're good.
You're doing well. You should be selling 1 and 2 listings. You put 5 listings on, the 1 and 2 you should be selling. And if you're not, it's okay, but you can do better.
Yeah.
Like that's what the best do. They bring something to market that they can sell. The point being, let's say there's 25 units in you. Let me just backtrack. When you pick an area, loads of people say they do Dubai Marina, right? Nobody does Dubai Marina. It's impossible. I think there's 150,000 units. How do you do that? It's wild, right? Like the size
Pick a building.
Do that. One building, but do it really well.
Yeah.
Like just do that. And when you've got control of a niche, if you can take 10% market share in whatever's going on in your space, and that 10% market share is no more than 4 transactions a month, it's very achievable.
Yeah.
So your space should have a minimum 40 transactions a month.
That's a really good way of narrowing down your location. Is
how many front doors and how many of them on average are sold each month.
So pick an area, because people will just either, I like the sound of Arabian Ranches, or I like the sound of Palm because I live there, or whatever it may be. But pick an area, keep it tight to where there's 40 transactions a month.
And just try and get 10% of it. Try and take your slice of that pie. Because if there's 40 a month historically for the past 2 years, we can predict that the next 2 years are similar. Just take 10% of that. And if you don't, and you take 7.5%, and you're still doing 3 a month, or you take 5% and you're doing 2 a month, it's all right. You're doing something.
Yeah.
So for me, that's really important. But the way to do that is, let's say there's 25 available. You need to have 5 of them. You're in great shape, right? That's you're in great shape. But then 5, they have to be comparable. And if you think about the consumer journey, this is something I spend a lot of time on. It's quite boring, this, for some people.
No, I love it, because that is where deals are done. If you can nail the consumer journey.
Honestly, right? Think
from the
about
phone call.
Exactly. Well, even I look at a pre-phone call.
Listing.
How do I get that consumer to become a lead? Now, if you think me and you are totally different beasts, right? So we interact as consumers totally different. And I just called you a beast there.
Yeah, I was just about to say, can I be the beauty? You can be the beast.
I think I might need to rephrase that, right? So I'm a different beast than you.
Better.
Yeah. Anyway, how we behave online is totally different, right? Like totally different. So how can we expect to generate all of the leads if we don't cover all of the consumer behaviors? Like it's something to consider, right? When you go on the portals, some people search high to low. Yeah. Some people search low to high. Some people will become a lead on a property that looks amazing. Some people will only become a lead on a property that is like the cheapest. Yeah. All of these things have to be considered. So if you've covered your bases in the 5 that you have available, it's very likely you get the lead. And if you get the lead and you have the options, you win. You know what I mean? That's the thing, is I've never taught anybody how to do a viewing, because all of the so they all need, everyone needs it. The UK, there's a lot of safety goes into the UK though. Don't go up the stairs.
Susie Lampler.
Yeah, exactly. That was it. Yeah, there's a lot of that, right?
But the same applies here. Not safety-wise, but the principle of doing a viewing, and we'll talk about that after you've made your point, because
Well, the point being is, I'll give you an example. When I moved to Dubai, people were rude to me on the phone. And I used to think, you wouldn't be rude to me face to face. Like, you just wouldn't. Yeah. Like, I'm not a fighter at all. But I reckon, like, you wouldn't be rude to me face to face, because I'm dead tall with no hair and I talk funny. Like, so probably, like, don't be rude to him. And people aren't rude face to face. So what happened was, I used to do Jumeirah Islands rent when I started in Dubai. People were being rude. So I used to just call people and I'd be like, do you want to meet face to face? And they'd be like, what? Like, do you want to meet face to face today? I'm like, what do you want about? Well, look, I do Jumeirah Islands and I want to meet everyone. Do you want to meet me? And like, some were like, yeah, go on. Yeah. And then some were like, no, I absolutely don't want to meet you face to face. The point being is they never rude to me after I offered a face to face. Ever. So I was like,
because it's like you're squaring up to them.
Exactly. And I was like, so, okay, now that works. When I get face to face, what do I do? And I figure it out. And that's the same when you look at when a consumer comes in. If you're trying to sell a house at the stage of viewing, you'll struggle.
It's too late.
It really is, right? It's like when people trying to negotiate an offer when they receive it. It's the worst time to negotiate an offer. It should be a pre-agreed process. The problem is it's very, very, very transactional, Dubai. It's someone might call you today and buy a house tomorrow, and that's the sexiest thing about the market. It really is.
Your luck can just change overnight.
Honestly, though, it really can. But it's also really difficult to build a business on that. You've got to have the foundations of a business that makes sense with the hope that you do a bit of this lucky stuff.
Consistently.
Yeah, of course, right? So if you get everything right before you go on a viewing, you should turn up and just open the front door and say, this is what you said you wanted. Get in and have a look. You know what I mean?
And like that comes down to, so when I was in the UK, which again, it should be no different, that first phone call after the listing, they've seen the listing, that first phone call, we'd actually monitor how long is the call. That was one of my KPIs. What's your average call length? And I knew whenever they had a call and it was 3 minutes, I'm like, that's not going to be a deal. If it was an 8 to 15 minute call, I'm like, that's a bloody deal. I'm going to come on that viewing with you.
100%.
Because they've asked the right questions. They've really narrowed it down. And I just feel like here, it's still kind of very much, it's available. When do you want to view? Without asking any questions. So what are your golden nuggets when it comes to qualification? Killer questions.
This. So this is my favorite thing is when you think about this, it was very common in the US, same in the UK, it's super common here. What you've just said is exactly what real estate agents do. Someone will call and they'll say one of two things. They'll say, when do you want to view it? And then they'll just book the viewing, which I don't like. Or they will do this other thing that real estate agents all over the world do. They'll say, before I can show you this house, I need to ask you some questions.
Oh, and all of a sudden I feel like I'm not worthy.
What are you on, like what are you on about? I just want to see the house. Like if I call you now, I want to see the house. And if you say, I'm not showing you the house until you answer me questions. And I'm like, well, I'm not answering your questions. And all of a sudden, we've spent all of this time to generate a lead and we're having a fight with them on the first call. It's fucking wild, right? Stop fighting with them. So what I really like is the best way to qualify someone is to give them everything they want up front. And I love this pitch. Lead comes in and you say, you've came in on a 2-bed in beige views or whatever it might be. When do you want to see it? And they say tomorrow at 2. Say, okay, no problem. I've got a couple of similar options and I'm going to bring the keys along with me. Just tell me everything it is that you're looking for and I can see whether these are suitable as well. In the most part, if you think about the psychology, if you go into NLP, neuro-linguistic program, and why people say yes, it's unreasonable for them to say no to qualification at the point of receiving everything they wanted, which was a viewing tomorrow at 2. Now, you're not going on the viewing tomorrow at 2 unless it's a suitable thing to do. But you've opened the door to qualify them now because you give them everything they want and a bit of sexy access. We've got some other stuff in the back pocket. And then what we found by doing that is most people, not everyone, because there's no secret sauce to everything, but most people were like, here's what I want. And then the floodgates open for qualification. That was the best way to qualify is we both want to do the same thing. We both want you to buy a house. So for you to buy a house, you need to go on a viewing. And if you want a viewing, I'll give you a viewing immediately. And then I'll qualify you. Same two people on the call. One set are having a fight and the second set are booking viewings on multiple units. That's what we said at the start, right? I don't know if that was on camera or off camera.
I think, no, it was on.
The process.
It's a process.
The process is right. It's the execution. We can both have a telephone call with a buyer and one of us absolutely murders it and the buyer hates us and the other one nails it. And it's the same buyer, same person, same phone call, same lead gen, all through Property Finder or Bait or whoever we use.
But it's down to like even that same lead, that person, instead of just, and this is something that I notice even on my property searches, is the agents are just showing me one property at a time. And I don't get to know them. I don't get, the only time I spent a long time with an agent was when I was looking at commercial property.
Yep.
And I felt like I was like this with
her. Friends.
Yeah, and because she took me to 3 or 4 units and it's like, you're right, how you doing? But you're not getting the opportunity to build rapport with the client, which is really important. And people have this assumption, and I'd be interested to see some stats on it, but people assume that a buyer will view 20, 30 properties. They're not. They're making a decision on probably the third or fourth property.
We don't have tire kickers here. Like in the UK, you list something for sale, and that's what they do. The carpet treaders, you put something up for sale, and next door books a viewing to see what they've done with the kitchen.
Yeah, just have a look. Yeah,
have a little nose. We don't really get that here. No one really cares about that type of stuff. Do you know what I mean? It's not that
so
common.
If someone is coming out on a viewing, they're serious.
Yeah,
they're hoping it ticks all the boxes.
I think so. Yeah, and if you think about the reason that people only show one unit, it's really logical that they're showing you what they have, not what you want.
Yeah.
And if you call me now and I don't get that many buyers and I'm all right on the phone, I'm going to get you to come and see this house with me. And it's probably not what you want. And that's super common in Dubai. People will turn up to a viewing and be like, this is not what I asked for.
Yeah.
It's like, yep, this is what I've got though. This is what's available. But that's nobody buys that.
Yeah.
Right? And then that's their way of building rapport is on such a negative. It's wild.
Yeah. And if you got them already out, they've come to meet you, they've probably got another hour that they could kill. Why haven't you contacted a few other agents to line up some alternatives so that you're showing them 4 or 5, exhaust them with options?
Show them
so
everything that you, honestly, and I spoke about this a couple of days ago. The best way to make a load of cash in Dubai is to start working with other agents. Like you don't have to work with all of them, but pick a few.
Yeah.
Like you build a little tribe in the community where like you feel comfortable calling someone and saying, I've got a buyer. And you know what you find is you'll call another agent and say, I've got a buyer, and we'll go, is it Mark? And they'll go, yeah, I've got him as well. Okay. All right, no problem. Like, and that relationship produces loads of money, loads and loads of money. When people say I don't work with agents and on 20 grand for the month, like start working with agents then. Like work with all of the agents and get your revenue up.
Because 50% of nothing is
still nothing.
Exactly. Or 100% of nothing is nothing.
But it's exactly right though. It's nothing, is it? And that's for me. I
can't lie. If I had a juicy listing,
you want it to yourself,
and I knew I could sell it, I don't think I would split.
And you know what the thing is?
Stop bothering me.
Sorry, I'm not working with agents on this
stock.
one. Get your own stock. The thing is, and this is really interesting way to look at your income. My goal is if I can work 1 hour a day and earn the same amount of money as I do in 10 hours, then I'm winning. I can't at the moment. I'm not able to do that at the minute. So I work 10 hours. Well, I actually work longer because everybody, So if I can't do that, what I need to do is maximize how much money I make in them 10 hours. And real estate in Dubai is different in the US because when you take a unit in the US, you are exclusively mandated. It's normally about 6%. And you're getting paid, right? So you can be quite particular over how you approach that listing. It's not like that here.
Yeah.
And we're so transactional, like it's quick. We can do deals really fast. So I would sooner sell a house today, list another one tomorrow and try and sell that rather than double side one that I might not double. And that there's no right answer.
Blending it,
I'm not right. It's pure preference that. But I would sooner do higher volume over a period of time. There's less risk associated with that too.
Yeah.
A lot of people, when I speak the events in the US, first thing people say is, Mark, how do I sell stuff for $10 million? And I'm like, just sell 10 $1 million things. It's way easier because if one falls off, you've still got 9. If one $10 million deal falls off, you're not in great shape for the next couple of weeks. True, you feel upset about it, you know what I mean? So, for me, how much money can I make in the shortest amount of time? That's the target for me.
And speaking of the US, you're kind of known as quite the Ryan Serhant of the Middle East. How does that title feel?
Hate it. A few people have said it. I love Ryan. I think he's amazing. I think we're different though, right? One, he's got hair and I haven't. That's not through choice. I just can't grow any. I think I think there's not many people who do what I do in the Middle East, which is why it's been referred to like that a couple of times. But for me, it's totally different. He's building something really incredible, to be honest. Mostly down the East Coast. He's done some really good stuff. He holds a lot of records over there, but he still sells. I don't sell. The reason I don't sell is I think it's a bit of a conflict.
Of course, absolutely. Yeah.
So if I was the number one when I was at LP, if I was the number one there, it would be seen that I was possibly taking the better leads for myself.
Which is also applies to sales managers. And do you think they should be selling?
So again, this is pure preference, but how I have always had it set up, team leaders can and should sell. Sales managers cannot.
Yeah.
Director level definitely can't.
Because you've got access to everything back, property finder back end, Bayou back end. You can
every
see all
lead
the leads
on the CRM and all that type of stuff. So I just think for me, the how I've built businesses previously was we'll teach you everything you need to know. So everybody around you makes enough money for you to not have to sell. Team leaders don't have that luxury because it's so small. They have to be able to sell. They've normally got like between 3 and 7 people.
Okay. Now, so we've done the qualification. Can we have some Castleyisms or golden nuggets on the viewing that nobody's ever taught how to do?
So
unless
for me,
you're in the UK.
Here's how I look at it, right? There's 3 different types of product knowledge. Unit specific, location specific, and sector specific. They have their use cases in different parts of the consumer journey. For my personal preference is unit specific is due a qualification stage. And if I'm qualifying you now and I put the phone down and I haven't matched you to a unit and booked a viewing, I've failed. And it's got to be as specific as, hey, look, you want a 2-bed in Shoreline, there's 3 different types. You don't want to be on the road, so you can't have an E-type because E-types are on the road. F-type's bigger, massive, to be honest, probably a little bit over your budget. I'm going to show you a D and an F though, because that's what you need, which is a 06, a 07, and I've got both. Building 4, we're going to see them tomorrow too. If you can't do that, stop wasting your time in real estate, because that's how you do it. Now, that's unit specific product knowledge, which gives credibility on the call. When you get to a viewing, if I've said to you, look, you want a 2-bed on the Palm, it needs to be this size, this view, blah, 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 blah. And I walk in the viewing and start talking about the unit, I've failed. Because you already know. It's such a wasted 15, 20, 30 minutes of like real golden nugget time.
It's true. And people see, they watch the shows and they think, oh, what you're supposed to do is...
Here's a bathroom.
Here's the kitchen. It's like, I'm educated enough to buy a property or to have enough money to buy a property. I don't need you identifying a fridge freezer for me.
Wild, right? But people still do it. Now, here's the logic. Location-specific product knowledge becomes really relevant on a viewing, because if you think about like the psychology of a viewing, I'm walking around looking at different things and I'm checking off boxes. You said it was
the
this.
Neighbours even.
You said it was this. But then I'm starting to say like, not for me. Here's where I get my hair done. Like, because I don't get my hair done anyway. Here's where I walk the dog, right? There's a vet there. Coffee downstairs. Closes at 11 p.m. Unbelievable. Best coffee ever. Whatever the location-specific product knowledge is, dealing with an investor, that's all for this, this all for that. He's rented for this, she's rented for that. Whatever.
I used to actually talk, back in the day, I used to tell more about the neighbours, like who lives next door and this and that. And I've got to admit, there was one building where Kylie Minogue, do you remember Kylie Minogue? She, was it Danny Minogue? I can't remember. She had an apartment in this building.
Love it.
And any viewing I did from that day forward, I was like, Danny Minogue used to live in this apartment. So you name drop. And 100%. It's like, well, if it's good enough for Danny Minogue, it's good enough for me.
I am in.
So I tell all the gossip about the building, who's living there. to make you feel like, okay,
I want to be here.
I need to be,
So but it's so redundant talking about the unit though, isn't it? You know, like, oh, there's a bath.
Yeah.
Okay. Like I was expecting a bath.
Yeah.
But didn't know this or didn't know that. And the psychology of the viewing, you're checking boxes off to say, I want this. And you've made me feel really comfortable with the location specific product knowledge, that this is the right move. I can feel it now. Sector specific is when we're coming to offer stage. Like, this is what the market's doing. This is how much they're selling for. Let's talk about the sector and why it's a good time to buy or sell. People often go in though and they're really aggressive on the, this is, you know, for me, it's like, if you're on a viewing, the best viewing training ever is done before you get there. Show somebody something you said they want to buy at a price they're willing to pay. And you can
don't even need to be around.
Open the door.
And that's it, be outside.
Just be chilled if you want. And that's why you've heard people in Dubai have done deals and not gone to the viewing.
Yeah.
I hate that. Like, I hate it. The reason they've been able to not go to the viewing is they've shown somebody exactly what they wanted. And the door was open. Horrendous real estate. But if the person bought it, they've done a really good job qualifying it. You know?
And to be honest, when I actually prefer to, when the agent tells me the door's open, because then I know I don't have someone breathing down my neck.
Exactly.
Just look at it, do it. You know, no one's kind of pressuring me to, or trying to sell to me. I know exactly what I'm looking for. You be quiet.
Yeah. You know, that's a really valid point, right? Because if you think about it, again, if you go back to the US, if you're buying a property in the US now and I'm your agent, I'm your agent.
Yeah.
We're on the same team. You want me on the viewing. Here, people don't negotiate with the seller, buyers. They negotiate with the agent.
Yeah.
Right? So if me and you are about to negotiate with each other, like, wall comes up and I'm not going to tell you I like it. If you look at the sectors, the job sectors in Dubai, of people who buy houses, real estate doesn't rank in the top 20.
Yeah.
So if you don't negotiate real estate on a day-to-day, then when it comes time to negotiate it, you're probably going to be a bit weird. Like if you've been in the position where someone turns up and they're like, I know, I can negotiate this deal, but you work in oil and gas, you've never negotiated in your life, and you feel like you're the right person to negotiate on this. Trust me as your agent to negotiate for you. The problem is, first thing 100% of the people you ask, what's the best way to negotiate? Well, I'll start low. That's what you want about.
Yeah.
Like, that's lack of education from an agent to them. So for me, it's like, well, the best way to negotiate is time. That's a bit that people often forget. What's negotiable in a contract? The first thing people think is, can I get it cheaper? So just to be clear, this is the advice I give to every agent when you're speaking to a buyer. The thing that's not negotiable is the price. All the other stuff we can negotiate on. And it's like, what do you mean? What other stuff can we negotiate on? Well, the timeline. That's one thing. Whether it's cash or finance, we can negotiate on that. You know, if there's a tenant, a moving period, you need to stay in it, furniture, blah. All
There's
that's
a lot
negotiable.
To talk about.
But the price is not negotiable. All of a sudden, people are like, what do you mean? The price is not negotiable. Well, that's how much it's for sale for. And then when you're in that space, you're properly representing your seller. That's something that I commented on this a while ago. When people put negotiable in a price.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
It's like, okay, well,
this is
now that you asked for it. Yeah.
It's like, well, give me an offer. What are you on about? What are you on about? Like, put the price up and represent your seller.
Yeah.
Again, when I lived in the US, the number one thing we would say to sellers is the listing agreement was 6 months. We used to have it 1 day.
Right.
So after 1 day, you can cancel me if I'm crap. No problem. And if we list at $2 million, I'll never bring you an offer less than $2 million unless you tell me to.
Yeah.
And then what you find is the seller goes, bring me an offer at 1.9. I say, well, okay. What's the price you want me to say no?
Yeah. On your behalf,
sudden, you've got these flexibilities that, like, the number one call a real estate agent does on a Monday at the big brokerages is, hi, it's Mark. We didn't sell your house over the weekend. It's overpriced. Should we drop the price?
Yeah.
Then seller goes, yeah, all right. I think we might need to drop it. So they drop it. didn't sell it this week. Next Monday, the agent calls and was like, didn't sell it again. What are we going to do? Are we going to drop the price again? No. What they do is they don't call. So
just
they get
ignore.
Then what they do, they've got no relationship for 4 weeks. They finally get a buyer, doors open. So they didn't even need to call the seller to get access. They go in, get an offer, and they've no idea whether that's a good offer or not, because the flexibilities of the seller have not been discussed, timelines, have they had any other viewings, all this stuff's not being discussed. It's a really low success rate. So that's why people fail, right?
And
lack
again,
of client care.
That's the difference between two agents. The good agent is calling with updates, and it's not just about the price. It's okay, maybe it's been a couple of weeks, it's a bit dirty, let's get a cleaning. Whatever it may be, but there's other things, or even rotate the main image. It could be as simple as that. Look at, and you do get a bit kind of, you get listing paralysis to some degree. So you should go back and review the description. Maybe you're missing a key selling point.
You know what the best thing to do is? Give it to a non-real estate person and say, run this search and tell me, would you become a lead on mine? And if you wouldn't, why? Really useful. I use Steph, Jamie's mum. I'll throw stuff up and be like, which one would you click on? Because she behaves totally different online, and she buys property like that. Do you know what I mean? She's not an investor. She buys houses to live in. Like, so she goes through that process. Steph, what would you click on? And she does mad stuff. And then you look and you're like, that's why I'm not getting leads or that. And then if you communicate that back to the seller, you're doing a good job, right? I've fixed this, didn't get any leads. I'm not asking you to drop your price. Fix this. Going to see what happens. It's then you're talking strategy with them, which works.
Much, much better. Okay. Now, another topic you like, handling objections.
Love it.
Let's, what are the top 3 objections?
Top 3 objections.
I need to think about it. How do you handle that one?
So I need to think about it is really suitable, right? If you think about before you think about objections, think about the possible outcome at the end of a viewing. So the possible outcomes are, they don't like it, which is fair. They want to buy it, which is fine. I need to think about it.
There's something, a blockage.
Or I need to bring somebody back, second view, third view, whatever it might be. So if we say, okay, well, look, to prevent them objections, because 90% of viewings end with, I'll call you later. It's like the end of a bad date, right? I'll give you a call. I know that's what you're on about. So to prevent that, and that's what I was talking about earlier in the podcast, is if we can be preventative on the outcomes, they don't happen. So if we turn up to a viewing and I say to you, look, just to be clear, there's only a couple of things that can happen at the end of a viewing. You want it, do not give me an offer. We need to go for a coffee and talk strategy on how we get you this.
Like that,
2, you fucking hate it.
In which case, tell me immediately so I can,
my fault. It's not my house though, so I don't care if you hate it. 3, you need to get somebody back in to look and pick a room or like second guess it, whatever it might be.
I'd be like, why didn't you bring them in the first place?
So the decision maker is not here. You've not brought the wife. I get
my
it.
bad.
Right? What we'll do though is I'll prep so nobody takes in the meantime. Or, 4 is you genuinely need more time to think about this process and you want to see other options. Whatever it is, I don't mind. Tell me. When you get to the end of the view and you go, which was it? Well, what are we doing? 1, 2, 3, 4. What was it? You get a proper answer. Right? Now, when people say, let me think about it, what they're saying is, I'm not sure what the next step is. The number one reason people don't take the next step in any sales industry is lack of clarity, lack of understanding. They're unsure what the next step is or how to take it. Our job is to hold the hand through the next step, but we don't. Some people say, do you want to offer on this? And you go, no. Because I don't know what that looks like. What do you? That sounds scary. So if you were to rephrase, here's the options on what a next step looks like. Which Much one better. Would you like to pick? People will, if guided, will pick it. So I don't think there's many ways to overcome an objection. I like to prevent them as much as possible. If you're getting objections, you're doing something wrong, and that's okay. It's okay to get things wrong, right? If I qualified you on the phone now and you were like, Mark, look, show me the house. It's what I want. You can't qualify me.
Yeah.
I go on that view of me, and then I show you it, and you hate it. That's both of our fault.
Yeah.
So it's like, right, that's an objection that needs to be overcome. You hate this. Okay, look, you need to let me qualify. Just tell me what you want so I can go and show you it properly. But a lot of the objections come up through lack of information. And I need to think about it means I don't have enough information to make a decision at the minute.
True. Yeah.
Or I've not had time to process it. Or you've not given me... here's an example. In the absence of value, price becomes a factor, right? That's a really, really relevant thing to think of.
Say it again.
In the absence of value, price becomes a factor.
Yeah.
So when I go shopping with Jamie, she doesn't look at the price on anything, which terrifies me. Because if she sees value in it, we're buying it,
Yeah.
right? However, when she goes to the supermarket, she checks the price of everything. Like, so if she's in the supermarket, she'd be like, 12 quid for strawberries?
Yeah,
what are you
that's
on about?
ridiculous, yeah. Because you're comparing it to
Exactly,
other...
right? So if we go to, and if we're in a shop and she wants something, it doesn't matter because the value is there because she wants it. She being everyone on the planet. We all act like that, right?
Yes.
So if you've not presented enough value for them to offer, then the next natural thing for them will be the price will become a factor. Yeah.
It needs to be a good deal.
Then when the negotiation starts, they'll lead with price because the value to offer market price hasn't been presented.
Yeah. And then you're just a Carrefour agent.
Exactly. Honestly, like that's all it is. So if you've turned up to a viewing and you're like, look, this is 4 mil. It's not 3,999. So like, don't even dare be so rude to offer less. Yeah. Like it's 4 mil, but it's 4 mil because the next one to come to market's 4.2, and it's the exact same, and it's the floor above or it's next door. So it's 4 mil today, or I press a different button in the elevator and it's 4.2 tomorrow. Yeah. Like that's just what it is. Like, so the value there is, I'm getting a bit of a deal. Maybe I don't negotiate on price. So the objections that people get can often be really well handled before they even pop up.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, buyers think they're negotiating against the agent, not with them. And that's because people don't talk strategy. You know, they'll say, give me an offer. What do you mean, give me an offer? I can't think of a time in the history of the world where someone's gone, give me an offer, and the buyer's gone, yeah, I'll pay asking price. Shut up. Yeah. You're on a boat. It just doesn't happen. So you're setting yourself up for like, what? It makes no sense. For me, anyway, I look at it and I go, well, here's another thing, and I know we're on time, but just to be quick, people go on a viewing and say, give me an offer, which is a thing, and they don't know if that offer would be accepted or not, and then call the seller with the offer. The buyer thinks the offer's accepted the second you call the seller. Yeah. It's like I accepted it and presented it to the seller, so it's an acceptable offer, even if it's a wild offer. Yeah. So it's such a weird thing that people do. And it's like, I suppose if they're not doing a lot of business, it's like if someone might want to buy something, I don't want to get in the way of that, so I'm just going to present this offer. Yeah. You know?
Wow. All right, well, I think we've got our fair share of Castley-isms, golden nuggets.
We do another hour or two.
We could.
I told you I wouldn't shut up.
No, I love it. Well, thank you so much, Mark. I really, really enjoyed that.
Me too.
And I understood every word you said.
All but like every other word, was it? Can we subtitle this?
It will come with auto captions.
I think it needs to.
We might have to spend an extra day on it.
Yeah, I didn't swear as much. So I only think I said fuck once.
And I think I said...
I think we said shit once or twice. That's okay.
That's right. Manageable.
Yeah. You have to say it was the best one ever. We have to get that on camera.
It was one of the best. I don't want to upset the others,
okay,
you know.
you.
I've got to as
amicable. I appreciate you.
It was fantastic. In terms of golden nugget count,
there's a few,
I've
right?
I've got to say, you're probably I'm gonna put it out there. That was the number 1 episode for golden nugget count.
Come on.
Yeah.
Remove the word count from that when you edit, guys. Yeah.
Brilliant. I'll ask you. Choose your favorite golden nugget from everything that we've just said in this past, however long it ends up being after we've edited it. But yeah, drop it in the comments. Thank you so much. Like, share, and subscribe.